T-minus 1 minute.
Engine start box go.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
50 seconds. 45.
Everything is go.
GE main power off.
Main power off.
40.
Upper stage LH2 secure at flight level.
35. 30.
Status check.
Go Delta.
Go Orion. Grain board.
25.
Flight lock in.
20.
T-minus 20 seconds.
15.
Rofi ignition.
10.
The igniters have been lit.
9. 8. 7. 6.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff at dawn. The dawn of Orion and a new era of American space exploration.
Good engine control in the first stage. Passing 25 seconds. Velocity 1,341 feet per second. Passing 31 seconds, still looking good. Good engine control. Good chamber pressure in all three boosters in the full power mode. 40 seconds in. Standing by to go to the partial thrust mode in the core. And we have partial thrust command in the core. Core chamber pressure beginning to drop as expected as we're coming up on the 1 minute mark. 1 minute into the flight. Still looking good. Good chamber pressure in the core booster in the partial thrust mode. Good chamber pressure in port and starboard in full power mode. One minute, 15 seconds into the flight. We have the hydrazine supply valve open in the second stage. 1 minute, 22 seconds in. Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. Passing 124, Mach 1. Orion and Delta IV now transcending the speed of sound. 1 minute, 31 seconds in. Good engine control in the first stage. Coming up 1 minute, 40 seconds. Velocity now 1,341 feet per second. 1 minute, 50 seconds in. Still looking good. Coming up on 2 minutes. 2 minutes into the flight. Good engine control in the first stage. Port and starboard boosters still at good chamber pressures in the full power mode and good core chamber pressure in the partial thrust mode at 2 minutes, 22 seconds in. Two minutes, 35 seconds in, still looking good. Coming up on the 2 minute, 43 second mark. 2 minutes, 43 seconds. The Delta IV of heavy Valkyrie now just weighs 1/2 as much as it did at launch, burning propellant at the rate of 4,744 pounds per second. Three minutes, 1 second into the flight. Still looking good. Passing Mach 5. Three minutes, 16 seconds in. Good engine control. Less than 1/2 minute remains on 3 booster flight. 3 minutes, 30 seconds in. We're standing by for the command to go to the partial thrust mode in the port and starboard booster. That command should occur about 10 seconds from now. And we've had partial thrust command. Port and starboard should be toggling down to the partial thrust mode. Standing by for main engine cutoff. We have cutoff in the port and starboard and separation. A good separation of the port and starboard boosters. Core booster now powering up to the full power mode. 4 minutes, 10 seconds into the flight. Good chamber pressure in the port. Correction, good chamber pressure in the core booster at 4 minutes, 18 seconds in. Four minutes, 25 seconds in, still looking good. Good engine control in the core. About 1 minute remaining on first stage flight. Four minutes, 46 seconds in, still looking good. Chamber pressure holding very well in a core booster as we're approaching the 5 minute mark. 5 minutes into the flight. Standing by to go to the partial thrust command. That partial thrust command about 15 seconds from now. Good engine control. Five minutes, 20 seconds in. And we have partial thrust command in the core. Core chamber pressure beginning to go down. As expected, standing by for MECO. We have MECO. The main engine has cut off. Standing by for stage separation. Each have stage separation. Heads is deploying. The nozzle has been extending. Standing by for igniter spark. And we have igniter spark, and we have ignition. Ignition on the second stage. Second stage chamber pressures beginning to rise.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're taking over commentary at this point as we come up on the first two critical Orion program milestones, the service module fairing panel jettison and the launch abort system jettison, standing by for those first two critical events. The service panel jettison has occurred. The three 13 by 14 foot panels have separated. And we have launch abort system jettison. The 361-pound solid propellant motor has pulled the launch abort system free from the upper stage and from Orion. Everything going extremely well. The first two critical milestones have been accomplished, and we are now processing telemetry from the Orion spacecraft through the tracking and data relay satellite system. Coming up on the 7-minute mark into the mission, Orion and the Delta IV upper stage, now 127 miles in altitude, some 700 miles downrange from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Reports here in Mission Control indicate that Orion's guidance systems are up and running in good shape. This view once again of the service module fairing panel jettison that occurred just about a minute and a half ago. We are now coming up on the 8-minute mark into the flight. Orion and the Delta IV upper stage, 142 statute miles in altitude, almost 900 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. GPS systems on Orion have come into full agreement with navigation systems on the spacecraft. Orion is functioning perfectly at this point. Orion heading almost due east from the Kennedy Space Center in an orbit inclined just about 28.4 degrees to either side of the equator. 8.5 minutes into the flight, the upper stage is currently traveling and carrying Orion to its preliminary orbit, now traveling at a velocity of almost 14,000 miles an hour, its altitude flattening out. The upper stage ignition will continue for about 11 minutes and 30 seconds from the time it began, with SECO 1, or a second stage cutoff number 1, just about 8.5 minutes from now. And this is our first view from cameras on the Orion spacecraft, streaming video that is coming down, being processed through the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system, showing a view of the Earth as Orion is being carried to its preliminary orbit, all of its systems operating in excellent condition on this first test flight of America's newest spacecraft.